And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is our friend Congressman Scott Garrett from the great state of New Jersey. Happens to be my congressman, Republican, of course. And welcome, Congressman.
It is always good to be with you, Steve. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. Okay, so let's start with, of course, where we are with the continuing resolution that was passed on Friday. You know, you made news, and you made legitimate news way before anybody was talking about, probably 2 to 3 weeks before anybody was really bringing up, you know, will they, and this is way before the recess, probably in late August or so, or mid-August, and, you know, are the Republicans going to defund Obamacare? And you said, no, the leadership didn't have the stomach, and they didn't. That's what they were saying. And then they come back from vacation, and much to my chagrin and surprise, we are where we are. What do you think happened?
I guess it's been the fact that members of the conference went out to their districts and do what they're supposed to do, town halls, talk to people's county fair, etc., and heard that the majority of the Americans, as you well know, says Obamacare will be a disaster, and they conveyed that, they brought that message back to D.C., and they conveyed that to leadership and said, heck, we can't do this. We can't just continue on with Obamacare. We have to hold the line on it. This is what this is what America wants.
Okay, so after the vote on Friday, many of the Republicans gathered around the microphone, and some of the leaders spoke and basically said, and I think it's a great selling point, but I mean it's a true selling point. Americans don't want a government shutdown, but they don't want Obamacare, and now it's up to the Senate. What do you expect from the Senate? You know, we've heard you know, from Cruz and a couple of others that they're going to filibuster because they don't have the 60 votes that they would need to for you know, cloture and all that. So where do you think we're headed from here?
Well, first, just an analysis, and that is this. If you turn on the morning TV and what have you and see how they cover this, I think this is very telling. You just described it very well, exactly what the bill would do, right? But what the mainstream media says is Republicans voted this week to shut down the government over Obamacare. Well, that's not the case. We did 3 things. We said we want to keep it open. We're going to fund it. We're going to defund Obamacare, yes, which the American public wants. And we're also going to give flexibility to the administration with regard to the debt limit as well. But the way the press covers this is totally distorted, and that does play into the dynamics over in the Senate, is to answer your question. The American public now has to go past the press and understand what's happening and tell their senators, I do not want Obamacare, but I don't want the government to shut down either, so pass the House bill.
How long or how far do you think but you're 100% right about the media, obviously, and that was going to be an impediment from the get-go. It's always going to be an impediment for whatever Republicans do. Having said that, and I think you are combating it in the right way, if the Senate doesn't, you know, not capitulate, but change or go along with you guys, is it enough, do you think, in your mind, that you got every senator and every congressman on record about Obamacare heading into the next year's midterms, and you'll back off and avoid a confrontation? I won't say avoid a shutdown, but avoid a confrontation. Or do you think this is it, and you guys in the House are going to stick to this no matter what?
Okay, I get your question. No, if that was the goal, if the goal was simply saying, hey, let's find out where the senators vote on this because then we'll put them on the spot in 2014, well, if that was the goal, then heck, we could have done what I'll call the Eric Cantor plan originally a couple weeks ago. You remember that was a plan where you vote once in the Senate, once in the House, you send it over there. They have to vote twice, once on stripping out Obamacare and once on passing the CR. And of course, it would have passed at the second point, and then the government would keep running. But that's not the goal. The goal is not 2014. The goal is right now. The goal is this is our opportunity. This is our moment in the sun. This is the moment that Americans can see Washington reflect their beliefs or not. For a whole host of reasons, whether the fact that Obamacare is a failure, that it's going to cost more to the economy, whether it costs people laid off their jobs, or one last point, if I may, and that is there's an article in someplace talking about the invasion of your privacy once Obamacare sets up and this huge new data hub is set up where all your personal information, your veteran status, your immigration status, your tax returns, your health records, any and everything you can possibly think of will be fed into this one central government bureaucrat hub, and we've never seen anything like this in the history of this country or probably the world. And that's all part of Obamacare.
And gee, how secure is that going to be?
It's going to be like a lot of these things, where it's going to be on somebody's laptop one day, and they leave when they here or there. Also, even if they try to make it secure, it now becomes the hacker's largest target. If there's one place that you can go in the United States and get information on every single American, you know that the world is going to be trying to attack and hack into that. And it's just terrible policy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're talking to Congressman Scott Garrett here on the Steve Malzberg Show. We saw a horrific terrorist attack over the weekend, Congressman. Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda-related affiliate in Kenya, well, from Somalia anyway, in Kenya, in a shopping mall. About 70 people dead, hundreds wounded. And what they did was they told the Muslims, they actually escorted the Muslims out and then killed the non-Muslims, at first asking them to, I guess the test was, give us the name of the Prophet Muhammad's mother. When they couldn't answer, they would just gun down men, women, and children with AK-47s. Just a horrific attack, and there's reports that 3 Americans could have been involved in the attack itself. 2 recruited from Minnesota, possibly, in a neighborhood where that's commonplace by Al-Shabaab. Just a warning sign for us here. I know they've stepped up security in America.
Sure, it's a warning sign, and it's also a sign that, as you said at the outset, that this is being recruited now from the United States. Now, I assume that when they say that recruitment, this is not from people who have lived their entire lives here in the United States. I believe what they're trying to do is get young people who were from these regions to return and engage in the battle once again. And actually, I think they have YouTube videos and stuff like that to recruit these new Americans, if you will, to go back to the countries that they came from. But you're right, the security is going to be heightened, as it should be, and this is just the unfortunate age that we live in.
One more, quickly, got a minute left with you. Bob Menendez and Lindsey Graham, a weird combination, I guess, both urging Barack Obama to tread cautiously if, in fact, he decides to meet with the president of Iran. Both men in New York today for the UN General Assembly. Should he meet with this man?
I would not be. Here's the interesting irony here. The President of the United States is going to meet with him on the one hand and negotiate with him. On the other hand, he will not turn around to fellow Americans and citizens, leadership of the party in the House of Representatives, and he refuses to negotiate with us. So the irony is
there.
There
you go. Absolutely. Congressman, thank you. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. Congressman Scott Garrett, ladies and gentlemen. Great point. John Boehner made it earlier with Putin. But if the president does meet with the president of Iran, Rouhani, that the irony will increase twofold. That he would negotiate and try to sit down with the leaders of Iran and negotiate and work out a deal with Putin. But he's already called Boehner and said, I will not negotiate. That's wonderful. Wonderful politics, Mr. President. All right, 855-777-9660. Coming back on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.